And moving on to the next review, we have Swindle. Combiner Wars Swindle, and you can see he is a little Jeep, much like his G1 figure. He looks pretty good. This is a remold of Combiner Wars Brooke, who seemed kind of random at the time as a replacement for Groove. Seemed like a lot of the problem children of the Combiner Wars series got replaced. Blast Top got replaced. Quickslinger Rojo got replaced because they didn't want to do two of the same mold, ironically, on the same team, I guess. And of course, Groove originally was replaced with a new Deluxe named Brooke. And the nice thing about these two is they aren't immediately obviously repaints or remolds. Like, it is a major amount of remolding. As you can see, this was a 6-wheeled vehicle, this one's a 4-wheeled vehicle. But and even looking at it from the top, you don't see, the only thing that's kind of similar is even from the top are where the pegs landed. The heads are laying, and then you have the shoulders for the robot mode kind of sit in the same place. That's really the only giveaway. Even the wheels, despite the fact the front and back wheels match the same spot, because this was done with a black peg and that was a yellow peg, it actually makes the wheels look a little bit different. I mean, you can still see that it's definitely a reuse of the mold, especially when you're looking at it from the bottom, but there's so much heavy remolding and change of colors and just change of shape. But they did a lot of stuff to make these two look different from each other, and I really appreciate that. It's pretty extensive. Even where the shoulders are the same, they have extensive remolding to make them look different. It's a very good reuse on the mold to make it look quite different. Or I guess you could say Rook is a reuse of this mold because this probably was meant to be Swindle originally. He was also repainted in the Hound. I don't have the Hound figure. I didn't like having characters who weren't combiners as Combiner Wars figures if I didn't need them. So this is my Swindle. This is just Swindle to me. But you know, he does look pretty good. He's got like some little bags detailed in there. You can see the Jeep isn't too believable because his arms are kind of filling it in. You can even see the fist sticking out right there. So it doesn't look the best, but they tried. You know, got a little bar detail going all over. I wish they had just put windshields in if they're going to leave it kind of filled in like that. Just put some dark windshields over it. That would have made more sense to me because even the original Swindle had a windshield, at least on the front. So I'm not sure why they went for this open Jeep approach if they were just to have a bunch of junk on the inside. But you know, that's how it goes. The bumper always sticks out a little bit because it's a it's black plastic, I believe, painted over for some reason. And the paint matching is not quite right. It always looks a couple shades darker and off in yellow tint from the rest of the vehicle, so it's always going to stick out a little bit. But I do like a lot of detailing. I just wish it had a little bit more paint because all the paint pretty much went to just the bars and the bumper. And a little Decepticon sigil right there. He does have weapons. He has this little gun right here, and you can hear him, it's like a little tri-weapon. It kind of reminds me of the Viacons from Transformers Prime. You can either mount it back there, or the main mounting spot right here in the middle, which I think looks pretty good, especially since it has that triangular look. Gives him a pretty decent looking gun. Makes it look like he's dangerous despite having a smaller weapon, since it's a little Gatling gun style weapon. He also, of course, has his combiner hand foot. And you can fold it up and kind of mount it like this. And I think that looks pretty cool because you can aim it upward and turn it and all that. But it does actually have a peg hole, so it can actually be mounted in the same spot as the Gatling gun. You can see it actually pegs in right there, which also made a lot of people think originally, since you could do this with Rook 2, make them think that this was going to be the tank. This was going to be Brawl originally, not Swindle. So it kind of put a lot of people off track. And then you can still mount the gun on top of it. So you can definitely make a very dangerous looking Swindle. I mean, he's got like dual flamethrower type weapons looking here, and then he has a Gatling gun on top. He's ready to mess somebody's day up. So don't mess with this merchant. So, looks pretty good. So, go ahead and get him down to transformation. Go ahead and take the feet, or the front bumper, and fold it up. And for the foot mode, you're literally just doing that and folding out this combiner port. And take the foot gun. Peg it on, and there's your foot. Pretty standard leg. You know, people talk about how the Stunticons are just a folded up car, but Swindle really does take the cake on that, where it's literally just the bumper folded down with the connector port sticking out. But on the flip side, it does make a very solid leg. I mean, it's just the vehicle mode, so it's already solid. So, pick and choose your fights with that. Pick and choose your battles. I think it works. So we're going to give him the arm mode now, so you can get the connector down like that. You're going to want to take the front bumper right here and bring it on up. You do have to get the head out of there, which can be a little tricky to get to. You might actually have to end up moving the arm out of the way to kind of get to it because it's really in there. But you need to get the hell out of the way because this strut's going to go up in here. So you're going to fold the strut. And this actually does tab back into the arms. And you just fold the head back down. It's not as deep in there, but still hidden away. Take the legs and they do come out on these little double struts. Much like almost all Combine Wars figures. But instead of coming out from the front and having to open up the leg, they just come out the sides where it's all hollow. So it makes the transformation a little bit easier. You can click the legs back together. Swivel it around. And then you just take the hand-foot gun. Like so. And there's your arm mode. And he makes a pretty good looking arm, actually. It's really rare to get both a good looking leg and arm out of a figure. And he still looks pretty good. The shoulder looks a little janky. It's a little bit junky with hollowness and all that. But it's solid. The actual lower arm is solid. It looks solid. It's very square. And there is some new detail underneath that was hidden by the hood earlier. So it all looks pretty good, actually. Even if you flip it around. Oh, you have all the hollow bits showing, so... But... it's a good looking arm. So we'll cover, once again, we'll cover articulation when we get him attached to Predator Kiss. But now we'll go ahead and give him the robot mode. Go ahead and fold the gun back out. And robot mode's pretty easy. Just swivel it back around this way. Split the legs. Fold down the connector port. Lift the hood back up. You're going to want to lift the arms slightly because there's these little struts that are sticking out that'll hold them in place. Swing them around on these struts out here. A lot of struts today. Those little struts there. Swivel the arms forward. Take the head right here, just finish folding it out, swing it around, and take all this. It'll actually fold up even more, gets the back like that, and there you have your Combine Wars Swindle in his robot mode. And now we have Swindle in his robot mode. Let's go ahead and get comparisons with Rook out of the way. As you can see, they are very clearly remolded of each other, a lot more clearly here than they were in vehicle mode. But there is still a lot of differences here. I mean, the chests are remolded differently, except for the only thing they actually share detail-wise from what I can see is the detail on the pelvis right here, this little circular detail, and the detail on top of the connector port, and then the wheels. Everything else, oh, and then like the arms, like the middle piece of the arms. But everything else has been remolded in some way to look different. You know, like even the sides of the chest, the arm, the top, the shoulders there, the bottom of the arms definitely look different. The back kibble's definitely different. Even the back of the legs. Oh yeah, and the hips look like they're the same too, so... only parts that really don't matter that much or stick out that much seem to be sharing pieces. Other than that, it looks pretty different. Swindle unfortunately does not share the gimmick where Rook can actually attach stuff to his fist and have it sticking out, like giving him giant hands and stuff. But on the other hand, his fist, he actually holds molded in his fist, so he can actually hold stuff normally, so... makes more sense for Swindle, but I did need to show the comparison between the two. And Swindle himself's pretty nice, you know. My big complaint with him is mainly just how his leg detail is handling, because, I mean, there's detailing to save on plastic, and then there's just hollows, trying to make hollowness look pretty, you know. Like, there's this hollowness in here, but it's at least hidden to the side. There's hollowness underneath arms on a lot of figures, but once again, hidden away. This is hollow plastic strip in the front where you can see it, and it really is just hollow plastic trying to look pretty. There's no detailing that makes sense. It's just holes in his legs, but they tried to make it look different. So I'm not too impressed with that. I'm not too happy about it, but what can you do? It's Hasbro. The head sculpt, though, is pretty good, though. It does feel kind of small, because since he is using Rook's mold, he has a pretty beefy looking body. Rook had kind of a football helmet thing going on to kind of help him look a little beefier with it. Swindle has this tiny little head that does look a little bit odd when you look at it proportionately, but it still looks like Swindle. Definitely looks like Swindle. One problem with it is on mine, the ball joint's a little too big, or the head part's a little too small. As it sticks on there, but you start messing with it, and it slowly rises up and eventually just pops off. But it does give me an easy way to look at Swindle's head. Big purple glass looking eyes. Little mouth done with metallic black, like gunmetal black kind of colors, gunmetal gray. Same with the helmet. All looks pretty good. He does have the bar detailing from the Jeep mode on his arms. And that looks pretty good. It's only paint the arms good, unfortunately, but it looks good. A lot of purple on the chest, and a little bit of blue to help break it up. I like the wheel kind of... I wish there was more purple on him. Swindle, that's one of Swindle's two main colors, is yellow and purple, and there's very little purple on him. Like, even just a little bit on the arms, I think would have been nice. And I've already talked about the legs, and the feet kind of are just a bumper, so nothing too fancy, but he's a good-looking figure, just he has some issues. Articulation's pretty... is pretty standard. Ball joint to the head so it can look around. If it doesn't pop off, can look up and look down slightly. Ball joint at the arm. Swivel here. Elbow that goes a little just over 9 degrees. Swivel for the waist that works as an arm joint for combined mode. Ball joint to the hip. Swivel here. And then a knee joint. And then this was actually still pretty exciting back in Combiner Wars. I know with Siege and Earthrise this is pretty standard now, but he actually has ankle tilts. So you can actually have his legs spread out pretty far, like it goes out that far. And I know by today's standards that's actually kind of a bad ankle tilt, but back in Combiner Wars era, in the early Generations era, we didn't get foot articulation that much. So this was pretty exciting actually. That's what made this mold so great. Probably the reason why people bought Hound in this mold is just because it was a good mold and it was good articulation at the time. It was really good articulation, so can't really blame anybody for wanting him for it. You can hold his weapons. Give him a flamethrower and a Gatling gun. Pretty dangerous. Can also mount them on his shoulders. Once again, extra points to mount weapons weren't standard in Combiner Wars time, so once again, kind of Siege before Siege was a thing. Not as good as a Siege figure, but you can kind of see the start of it here, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Swindle's a good figure. He's honestly, out of all the Kabagons, he's probably my favorite. He's a really good figure. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and we're going to be hitting Vortex next.